Atom is an object, just like a car is an object. Everything in the world has atom, even a rock has atom. People has atom, so everything has atom. So how is it that separates us from a rock? Well, it depends on the rearrangement of the atom. Just some simple, teeny tiny, minute rearrangement can totally make a difference between a non-living object and a living object. Isn't science amazing? An element is a brand name atom. So let's compare it to a car, put it into perspective. If an atom is an object just like a car is an object, then the brand name of the car like Honda, Toyota, is the same thing as element is the brand name of the atom. So what kind of brand name elements do we know of? Like oxygen and hydrogen, nitrogen, and all of those one found on the periodic table. Those are brand name. Think of those like, oh, here's a brand name of element and stuff. So that's how atom and element is related. Just like car and car brand name is related. The atom is very general, whereas the element is more specific. Now, when you have more than one atom element bonded together, you have what is called a molecule. So these one right here, these are called atom. They're only individual one element. And then these, you have more than one bonded together, they're called molecules. So these are elements, for example, like oxygen, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, chlorine, fluoride, all the one you found on the periodic table. And when you have a bunch of them together, they're called molecules. More than one. Now, if you have more than one, but you also have more than one type, they're called compound. Like HCN, there's H, there's C, and there's N, so there's 3 types. So that's called a compound. A compound is also a molecule. A molecule is also a compound. So it can have more than one name. For example, these right here, C2 and C3, even though they have more than one element, there's more than one carbon, but there's not more than one type. There's only one type, and the only type is carbon. So these are molecules, but they're not compound. The rest of them, however, are both molecules and compound. So when you learn about in science later on, and you talk about molecules, they just talk about more than one element together. And when they're talking about compound, they're talking about more than one element, but it has more than one type. So in our body, we have a lot of elements in our body, but there are some of them that are very important and found the most in our body. For example, there is sulfur, phosphorus, oxygen. There's also nitrogen, carbon, and hydrogen. So these are these elements in our body are found most often. In our body, oxygen, there's 65% more, and there's around 18.6% of carbon, hydrogen at 10%, and nitrogen is about 3%. These 4 alone makes up 96% of our whole body weight, and then there's the rest of them. These 6 are commonly found in your body, and a good way to remember them is think of the word sponge. S-P-O-N-C-H. Each letter stands for one of the elements: sulfur, phosphorus, oxygen, nitrogen, carbon, hydrogen. And then there are lots and lots of other tiny elements in our body, but it's very found in small, minute amounts. We call those elements trace elements. Now, elements are very important. For example, like here's a picture of a person who lacks iodine. So in their neck, it creates what is called a goiter, and it enlarges the neck. So if this is simple elements missing, it causes your body to deform. Living in America, we don't have to worry much about the lack of element of, because we have mostly everything we kind of need. Whereas in like third world country, people have a harder time acquiring those nutrients, those materials, so they are malnutritious, and then so they kind of have a lot of abnormality and stuff. So you see, science is very important when it comes to beauty and stuff. Even makeup, for example, is all about science. Now, makeup is a good thing, I guess. It makes you look prettier, but you have to have a certain limit, because what happens is if you put on too much makeup, it kind of blocks the pores on your face, for example. And when it blocks the pores on your face, it causes your face to be damaged. And as your face is damaged, you tend to put in more makeup, which causes more damages, and eventually you kind of age pretty fast. So learning about science is helpful, not just about, but it's also helpful because it helps you learn how to stay pretty.